Next question, Anthony.
I don't talk with the sun anymore. Sorry, I don't speak with the sun anymore. I don't know, that's not personal, but I'm still working for the sun, right? So, that's it. You can listen and you can write what you want. That's how it is.
All right, we have traffic. Now let me tell you, man, this is a thing I always wanted to do. To start with a car from the Netherlands and go and watch a game of Liverpool Football Club. Now I became a Liverpool supporter back in 2004 when Steven Gerrard did the beauty.
Miller, lovely cushioned header, but Gerrard! Oh, you beauty! What a head, son! What a head!
Against a team that I very much disliked. That was Olympiacos from my own country, from Greece. Now, during this trip, mind you, we are going to have some stops because Liverpool, you see, does have some darkness. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the team is, it does bear a certain quote, curse, end quote. And we will stop at some places to pay homage and pay our respects and share my thoughts. All right, welcome to Brussels. Now this is what we all know as Heysel. Next year it will be 40 years since one of the most horrible disasters in European football. There is literally no entry to this place, unfortunately. However, let me tell you a little bit of the story of this place. Back in the day, it was considered probably the worst fit stadium to host the European Cup final. And when Italian champions Juventus played Liverpool back in 1985, both teams basically protested to UEFA about the appointment of a stadium like this one. The stadium was built back in 1930. So in 1985, it was already very, very old. You have, from a couple of years back, some renovated Bernabeu and Camp Nou stadiums because of the World Cup in Spain. Why none of them was chosen and instead UEFA picked this one is a total mystery. So back in 1985, the stadium was extremely poorly maintained. The construction material, believe it or not, was cinder block. I mean, imagine the walls limiting the terraces being of cinder block. I mean, there are images out there of supporters basically kicking them down and getting in without ticket. UEFA, besides choosing this stadium, they also chose to give a lot less tickets to Liverpool. They reserved one of the goal ends entirely for Juventus Ultras, and the other one, they reserved 2/3 of the terrace for the Liverpool fans. Now, 1/3, the third, Sector Z, that was reserved for other visitors. What other visitors? Are you kidding me? With its tickets being sold by basically agencies. And you know who bought them? There's a huge Italian population working in Belgium, and they were the customers. They bought them. Not ultras, not hooligans, normal people. So this large group of people, of Italian fans, of Juventus supporters, was placed right next to the Liverpool hardcore. And back in the day, it was a hardcore. We are talking about the 80s. I mean, there are still hooligans, you know? Even now there are hooligans in the UK. Back then, it was their national sport. I remember watching a podcast on YouTube, which was, there were two guys hosting a former Liverpool player, Mark Lawrenson. Now, he said something interesting, you know? He said, although in the history of Liverpool Football Club, Hillsborough is getting mentioned all the time, nobody mentions Heysel, which got me thinking. I mean, I totally understand the guilt. You have a group of supporters of your own club who charged more than once, they charged 2 or 3 times into the Italian sector. This charge caused panic. The opponent was not ultras, was not hooligans. They were normal people, unfortunately. And normal people, when they are being attacked by a group of thugs, they tend to panic. There wasn't enough space. I mean, these people fell onto each other, and all of them fell on the cinder block wall, which collapsed. And 39 people in total lost their lives. The youngest one was a kid. He was 11 years old. UEFA spent no more than half an hour assessing the stadium, assessing if it's fit to host the final. And apparently in this half an hour they decided that it was fit. Sure, why not? The policing is yet another issue, especially if you have 2 sets of opposite fans on the same terrace. You have to be ready, man. I mean, this was basically a crime waiting to happen. You can't put a wire fence in between these 2 groups, and you can't put 10 or 12 or whatever number of improper trained policemen separating them. I mean, your 8-year-old child can go through them, let's face it, let alone 20 or 30 hooligans. Check it out, man. So the stadium is right over there. Generally, I am biased because I do support the club, but in front of death, trust me, I'm not biased at all. Now check out that park. There are a couple of parks like that one around the stadium. Before the game, fans of Juventus and Liverpool were playing football against each other in these parks. Bruno Pizzul was the reporter of Rai, of the Italian television, and he was commenting that before the game in the Grand Place and on the parks around the stadium, people were together. This shit happened because the idiots organizing it were totally incapable. Now I do want to mention another thing. At almost every game there are people without tickets. I do remember myself being in Madrid without a ticket and basically enjoying the final against Tottenham at a bar with other Liverpool fans and Tottenham fans, by the way. Nothing happened. Civilized. I was also in Paris, and in Paris I also didn't have a ticket. So I ended up with friends at a pub watching the game, and we were shocked to hear that there was a delay at the game because there were trouble with a crowd outside of the stadium. And guess what? Once again, everybody tried to blame it on the fans.
A shambles, really. One of my mates who got a ticket off me got told he had a fake ticket, which I can assure you it definitely wasn't a fake ticket when you get them off the club and you're not a player. So to be honest, people were just making it up at times and obviously clearly panicking and things like that, tear gas getting thrown at people, which is unacceptable.
Nobody thought that there were groups of thugs at the Saint-Denis area who were attacking the fans. Nobody thought any of that. It is always the fans. We have so many other examples, man. I mean, it's insane. You have so many other examples of tragedies waiting to happen. Some of them even happened. And people of power still blame the fans. Regarding Paris, I am very proud of the reflexes of Liverpool supporters, I must say. They were organized, they claimed their rights, they had an excellent legal support, and basically put UEFA to their place. I mean, UEFA, man, I mean, I don't know. UEFA is a joke, man. But sometimes jokes, like this one, cost lives, even lives of kids. So now I have to go to Calais in France to take the boat to Dover. I will spend the night at Dover, and then tomorrow we drive up north on the left hand side. So all of this happened some 10 minutes before the start of the game. An hour and a half later, and while they were still gathering bodies from one end of the ground, and while on the other end of the ground there were quite a lot of incidents between the Italian ultras and the police, they actually decided to start the game. I mean, this is the key point behind all this. I mean, the chief of police asked the two clubs to get out and play because, they said, they could not guarantee that there wouldn't be total chaos on the streets if the game was not played. I guess this shows everything, I guess. I mean, it speaks for itself. Good morning from Dover. Check out Dover in the morning. Let me tell you, man, for a place like England, the weather is brilliant. Check out this road, man. Isn't this your archetypical British road? If yesterday's visit to Heysel wasn't your example of lack of accountability, now today's visit is. Liverpool Football Club was playing Nottingham Forest back in April 1989, and because of the decisions of a police chief who had absolutely no idea how to police such an event, 97 people died. Now, it was basically a day like this one. I mean, sunny, jolly atmosphere. The thing is that minutes before the game even began, there was a huge crowd outside of the stadium. You have testimonies by survivors that actually say that it took ages to get in. Now picture this in your head. You have an area which is literally right around this corner here, packed with Liverpool fans. Ten minutes before the start of the game, there is a huge crowd outside of the stadium. And there is also a crowd inside the stadium. Now, the terrace reserved to the Liverpool supporters was divided into 4 pens. 2 of them, the middle ones, they were already half full. Now, in order to avoid tensions in the turnstiles, the police officer responsible for the event, a Mr. David Duckenfield, made the executive decision to open Gate C. Now, Gate C was a barrier which held the crowd outside of the venue. Mr. Duckenfield thought that it would be a good idea to open that gate in order to release the tension and the pressure from the turnstiles. The Liverpool supporters who wanted to get in the stadium as soon as possible, they stormed in. And they stormed in through a very narrow tunnel into an almost full section of the terrace.
I can only assume that there was overcrowding, and as they tried to come out from behind the barriers, people at the front were crushed.
There's one survivor that mentions that upon entering through Gate C, he lost his footing. This guy was transported by the pressure inside the stadium without touching the ground. Now, the reason why these people died was actually suffocation. I mean, the pressure was so high that a lot of them couldn't breathe. And you have policemen looking at this incident from inside the stadium, you have reporters taking photos from inside the stadium, and you have the people on the photos basically being crushed on the barrier. I don't know, man, it's insane. Duckenfield had absolutely no idea of the police tactic to basically guide the supporters to the side pens when the central ones were full.
There's gaps, you know, in parts of the ground. Well, you look at the Liverpool end to the right of the goal. There's hardly anybody on those steps.
Now, if you're thinking that back in Heysel there wasn't any accountability, well, sort of. I mean, first of all, on a club level, all of the English football clubs were banned from Europe for 5 years, and Liverpool was banned for a 6th, for an extra year. Second of all, the government sent 14 or 15 of the culprits back in Belgium to be trialed, and they were trialed and they were found guilty and sent to prison. Here in Hillsborough, nothing like that happened. For almost 30 years, there wasn't any sort of accountability. 30 years, man. Like, who does that? Imagine being the family or a friend or a partner, I don't know, of one of the victims. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. Let's go pay our respects to these people. So, unfortunately, there's an event going on here. So that's why everybody's hostile and they don't let me film. Whatever, man. I will tell you the rest of the story from the car, I guess. Imagine this. Imagine being the responsible fellow for whatever happened here. And at the moment it was happening, you actually communicate a false truth to the Football Association. What's insane about Hillsborough is the fact that Basically, from the first second after the deaths of all these people, the first second after that guy, David Duckenfield, whatever his name, the moment he realized the scale of what he did, exactly the following moment he was telling lies to the FA. I mean, this is the part that's unfathomable. Imagine yourself doing this. Imagine realizing that you made a mistake and this mistake is costing lives. I don't know. I mean, I would freeze. I would be devastated. I mean, I would freeze. I wouldn't have words. This guy had the calmness and the chill to basically tell the FA that no, it was the Liverpool fans who opened the gate and they are responsible for all the bad in this world. It's insane, man. I mean, it's insane. It's not only that. 4 days later, here come the tabloids. Here comes the Sun.
I mean, there are genuine questions here, aren't there, about the false narrative that were put out, not least by the police, but also by newspapers like, not entirely just the Sun, but primarily by the Sun newspaper.
The truth about what happened there. Now, the Sun's truth was the following. They were talking about ticketless, drunk supporters who were stealing money from the pockets of the dead. All this was in that article 4 days after 95 back then people lost their lives. Like, really now? That version of the truth, that allegation, was spread all over the world a couple of days, just days, after this event. Heysel, let me tell you about Heysel. Heysel was one of the most horrible things ever to happen, with a clear and obvious group of Liverpool fans who were at fault, and with a less clear and less obvious culpability of the people who made the decisions. In Heysel, people got punished. I mean, the police officer responsible, he got punished. The Liverpool supporters who charged on the Italians, they got punished. I mean, you can say that you don't agree with the punishment. I mean, I think it was 3 or 4 years in prison. I don't know if this is enough or not, whatever. Concerning Hillsborough, for almost 30 years, not only was there not any punishment, there was a definite denial from the government, from everybody who was in that group of responsible people. There was absolute denial.
No, it wasn't me who ordered to open Gate C, it was the supporters. No, it wasn't me who forgot to close the tunnel to pens 3 and 4, it was the supporters.
I'm not sure if there has been any worse cover-up in the history of football. There are tragedies in football, you know, there are, I mean, for fuck's sake, the worst tragedy was a war between El Salvador and Honduras. Anyway, more on Hillsborough when we reach Liverpool. See you then. Bye-bye. Check out this parade, man. Look at them. Anyone for Ukraine?
So on behalf of the government, and indeed our country, I am profoundly sorry that this double injustice has been left uncorrected for so long.